And welcome back, everyone, to the LJLOU, the Academy series, kicking things off. Of course, we had 3 games done already, and they've been quite interesting games. Obviously, you got to view all of them. The poke compositions are continuing to come out here for better or for worse. And now we've got game number 4 lurking in the wings here. It will be CGA Academy team going up facing Sengoku Gaming Academy as well. Yeah, and it's about Sengoku. You're like, oh, who they had to deal with? Well, they've had to deal with some teams that, yeah, you see the, Axis. We did see them previously up against V3 Academy, and it did look rather impressive from the Axis side of things. So it's like, okay, maybe we can get why Sengoku has had a very struggling start off in the Academy series. And then you look at Burning Core Academy, and you initially think, hey, how do you lose to Burning Core Academy? And then you realize that Burning Core Academy has the same number of wins as their traditional team. You're like, okay, understandable. So this is hopefully feel bad. I had to do it with that, man. Yeah, fighting off the best that they can. There's apparently Middlecott. There is no voice. Your voice is not coming across. So this has been a very odd conversation. Um.
Yep.
So
yeah. Okay. Yeah. We've got that sorted out. It's the joys of doing production and doing the and doing casting at the same time. I told myself it was going to happen at some point this week. We've got it out of the way. Promise it won't happen again. So basically, yeah, what I was saying was that Sengoku, whilst they've not had the best performances, Niner has been a bit of a standout for them. Whereas for CGA Academy, it's really been the top side, which has got them their first win. And I imagine it's where they're going to be looking to play towards if they want to grab a 2-0 and maybe even a 3-0 by the end of the day.
And I think you can continue working on that, right? Your top half of the map, at least in terms of the solo laners, is strong to the point where you know it's going to be, in theory, stronger than a lot of your opponents here. And
yeah,
part of that is, you got the side of Kaito, who, again, as you talked about, has that experience playing on the more stressful games, I think it's fair to say, when, of course, we did get to see him in playoffs.
Yeah.
And the likes of Momo has stepped up, and you look at who they're versing, who they're dealing with. And for a lot of their opponents there, they're dealing with players that have only really recently been picked up here. A lot of the Sengoku roster was signed almost 2 weeks ago, which is just not a lot of time to build a lot of synergy, to work together as a 5-man unit. You need time to create a 5-man team, and, well, is 2 weeks enough? I'm worried. And obviously the Sengoku scoreline is kind of backing up that idea.
Yeah, it's kind of not the best. It's an interesting dichotomy. You've got a lot of these newer players for Sengoku, and then you've got Yutori Mayashi as their coach, who is possibly one of the most tenured players now turned coaches in the LJL. We are into the picks and ban phases, though. Interesting to see that the mid lane has been focused out pretty heavily by both of these teams. CGA going for the Lee Sin first pick, going to be seeing him most likely going into Funawi's hands, who had a brilliant 3-0-12 performance on him yesterday. But this does leave the Viego up, who has been one of these top tier junglers, up there with the likes of the Trundle, up there with the likes of the Jin Zhao, who are able to skirmish so effectively. And if you get one of those resets off on a fight, you can pretty much call it GG.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised the fact that it was the Lee Sin first locked in and then answered by the Viego and not the other way around, right? Like, it's a little bit odd to me to see Viego. I know he did, people have started putting less priority on him, but I still see Viego as one of those really high priority junglers here. But the other thing that surprised me, and I do thankfully get to see it, is well, where are our hyper carries? Oh, so much of the LJL, especially through the playoff runs that we've been seeing, is focused on getting a defensive and engaged based support and getting one of these ridiculously well scaling carries in the bottom lane. And there's no, oh my
Uh,
lord, okay.
okay.
Um,
Well, talking about scaling AD carries, Senna pretty much embodies that completely. There have been some recent changes to her that I don't know if they're on this patch, where the soul generation rate when she kills minions is actually a lot higher than it used to be. So could be a farming, could be a fasting Senna. We will yet to see. It was the thresh locked in for Sengoku, which does enable them to go for something a little bit more hyper carry focused, but the Lissandra blind picked up for CGA. We saw this a little bit earlier. It does very well into compositions that have low range and with compositions that offer a lot of skirmish potential. The thing about Lee Sin is he's really good in these scrappy fights where he's able to get multiple rotations of his spells off. Senna as well, a lot of utility on that pick, so playing around these river skirmishes should be pretty good for CGA. Sengoku, though, going towards this Kennen, which has been a pick that we've been seeing rising in priority, particularly in this tournament. Its presence must be something like 60-70% at this point, and has a pretty good laning phase, so it is one of these champions that you can blind pick. Like, pretty interestingly, we've actually not seen a lot of crossover between the roles being picked up. Sengoku going for their jungle top support, CGA with their jungle ADC question mark, and mid laner most likely, which means the second phases of bans can get pretty spicy.
yeah, and it's very different to what we see in the LJL itself, right? Typically, we see the supports, the AD carries, and the jungle locked in first half, and then you leave it to the solo lanes. That's pretty standard in the LGL, and I think that's pretty standard just around the world, right? Get a strong jungler, get your scaling bot lanes, and then play the okay, what do you want to trade in the solo lane style? So to see these academy teams really change things up a little bit, might be a bit of style, might be a bit of preference. Of course, Kaito did play a lot of Zoe in the match of the LGL that we did get to see, so maybe a question around the champion pool of what he's comfortable blinding. And well, we'll see how that goes with CJ. Of course, on the other side right now, Sengoku looking at one of the stronger AD carries we see in the bottom lane right now, the Varus. And I mean, with Aphelios off the table, yeah, he's going to lock that in.
Yeah, I think you pretty much have to default to Varus here, but it does mean that Momo's Silas is still on the table. There's that Zoe hover. We saw Kaito play it a fair bit and actually locked in, so I'm thinking that this could potentially be the Lissandra going down into the bot lane to pair alongside the Senna. It does offer you a lot of CC, a lot of reliable follow-up damage, as we do have the Gnar locking coming out for Momo. So this is going to be a bot lane Lissandra alongside the Senna. We're still yet to see who will be farming, who will be fasting, but provides you a lot of engage options versus the Varus. Will have the Dark Passage to take them to safety, but I'm not sure if that's going to be enough when you're facing the sheer amount of lockdown that CGA offer.
You pretty much have to take Cleanse here for the CGA bot side. There's no two ways about it. Sure, Thresh is good, but a full committal by the likes of a Lissandra and a Senna is very, very difficult to escape, assuming it is going to be Senna in the bottom lane. I don't really see why you put anything else other than Senna and Lissandra down the bot side there. Your top laners are going to know how to play Gnar. That's kind of just the expectation coming into the LJL at this point here. So that will indeed be the case here. As the last lock in from the other side, it does appear to be the likes of the Rise, who has been, don't mind the pun, rising up in popularity among quite a few mid laners here. So damage, machine gun style still works here. And if you can avoid the poke that comes up from your opponents, you can actually do pretty well.
Yeah, but the difficult thing about Rise is he doesn't really operate into compositions that can lock him down when he gets into close range. Is why I think that picking him into the likes of a Lissandra isn't too good. Obviously, he will be laning up against the Zoe, so that'll be a little bit better for him, but she can still apply that pressure. And then obviously, if Finawi wants to make their way over to the mid lane, it can be quite difficult for Akainu to exist on this rise. What this does mean, though, is that when you get into longer team fights, there is a lot of potential for Sengoku to pop off when they start going through multiple rotations of their cooldowns. Obviously, Rise of the Machine Gun Mage, a lot of damage potential. Viego as well, when you get in these longer team fights, can do a bit. And then obviously, we know how much damage piercing arrows can do. If Nine is able to land a couple of those, it allows for Sengoku to really start powering through these fights and resetting all over the place. Now, for CGA, it's a little bit more opaque as to what they want to do. I'm not seeing many clear engage options. They've got a fair bit of pick with the likes of the Lee Sin and the Zoe, but a lot of their CC tools are better used as follow-up CC, as secondary engage, with the Lissandra, with the Na. It's sometimes difficult to actually find yourself into the middle of a team fight with these champions. Obviously, if you're getting good vision control and denying the enemy vision, you can start to find flanks, which is maybe a strategy that you can abuse at the academy level where the teams aren't necessarily as practiced on the macro game. But it still leaves a little bit to be desired in terms of actually just starting fights onto Sengoku.
Yeah, I feel like if I was looking at this comp, I'm like, okay, what am I actually going to engage with? What tools have, in my opinion, got the best chance of engaging? Because again, it's a lot of follow-up, there's a lot of, hey, we can actually back up it. I would just say the Lissandra, because you don't really take the Lissandra in for her insane damage output, right? You're bringing in there because we need a lot of crowd control, she is short range, and I'm talking commit to like a claw flash W ult.
Like, oh yeah, get like a proto belt in there or something as well.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Literally, or Gale Force, just like get on top of someone and you can absolutely delete them. But then the other thing is what happens after that when there is so much damage on the other side. Yeah, you might be able to kill someone, but if any member of CGA drops, well, Viego resets start to come through, and there are a lot of good base abilities that you can actually steal away. You mentioned the Claw there. That is brilliant for Viego, for him to chase forward in extended fights, as well as the Mist from Senna, giving your entire team invisibility and movement speed can be so impactful. But we are going to have to see as we are jumping onto the Rift.
Yeah, let's get into this first game and see, well, what are your engage options coming in here, CGA? You got a lot of fun different things, as it will be the fasting Senna confirmed. I mean, it wasn't really a surprise coming into that one there. Still, I'm just a bit surprised that of all things you're flexing down to the bottom lane, it is the Lissandra. Now, yes, she has been a lot more popular, especially in the LJL Academy scene, where it's just, you know, blind pick a Lissandra or just take the Lissandra in here. But to see it flex down into the bottom lane, I mean, part of me wants to say, look, I'm really not confident in it. But the last time I said I wasn't confident in a champion being flexed to a different role, it was Ziggs being flexed to the mid lane. And I don't know if you remember that series, but that was the highest damaging series blanket. So I'm not sure I'm allowed to make such a statement.
So the thing about Lissandra is, obviously, she's going to be getting a bit less experience, a bit less gold by being in the mid lane, and her roam potential is a little bit reduced, but she does still have access to the teleport, which isn't likely to be forced out too much by Sengoku, unless they can land something early on at this level 1. But with the flare landing, they're probably just going to be walking away. So this Lissandra, she doesn't have a lot of damage, but that's not really what you pick her for, like you were mentioning. It's about this CC, it's about this lockdown, and this means that Kaito is able to get onto this preference pick of the Zoe, which we saw them play a lot in LJL. So it's a little bit tricky, possibly a little bit suboptimal, but I think Lissandra is a champion that can work in this bot lane role.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it. It's not my personal favorite. I mean, I think my favorite, honestly, if you're looking at what is the best Senna fasting lane, is it Senna Cho'Gath, purely because you can name it Feast and Famine, and I think that's hilarious.
Oh,
I'm that person.
Oh, you are that person. But I mean,
will pick up one.
But I mean, think about it. Cho'Gath and Lysandra are going to offer you very, very similar things. They're both high CC, decent base damage mages that have a lot of safety. Obviously, Lysandra doesn't have the same amount of sustain as something like the Cho'Gath, but you don't really need it in a Varus special lane. Yes, we love to talk about Varus being a high poke champion, but early on, because you have got this setup, as we've seen engage in the top lane onto you, Momo trading quite nicely on this Gnar, but because you have got all this push from the Lysandra and the Senna, Nina's going to be forced to use a lot of these piercing arrows on the wave just to prevent themselves from being shoved in constantly, which means that you're not going to be taking the same level of poke, and you can actually start moving around. We see that Scry's Bloom popped in the bot lane, spotting out Aki on this Viego, who's been completely found out now by CGA.
Yeah, that means any sort of shenanigans coming out from the likes of Sengoku in the early game should just be completely null and void. Like, you know, Excellior will be able to pick up the Scuttle Crab, but this bottom lane gank, which you know he kind of wants to force there, it's just, it shouldn't work, I should say. I'm not saying I'm not going to, but I'm saying it shouldn't work. Because the CGA, I'd like to think that they did actively spot him, and you do see them now backing up. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
No. They're spotted too late now. They're just going to flash lane, get into that one. Multiple man lockdown as flashes are for CGA. Will get out without losing anybody. But that is 2 summoners burnt by the bot lane, where they knew where the Viego was.
Yeah, so, but I feel like if you're playing any other lane there's definitely a couple of kills going over to Sengoku. We saw the power that Lysandra brings, being able to push up so far and take that glacial path back, and then also with the Ring of Frost locking up multiple Sengoku members, so Chico is able to get out. Ultimately does still burn those summoner spells, so somewhere that Sengoku can revisit in a few minutes, but Momo is continuing to trade aggressively up against you.
Yeah, he's going for it, flashes forward, but unfortunately not able to find the connection. One final boulder will not connect, and that was exciting.
Well, we might have more excitement here.
Once again, Chio taken down low, the hook goes wide, and now the Lee Sin arriving does turn this around, but Primo has no mana, which is the problem. Talking about problems,
oh no,
Momo is in trouble, does dodge the stun, but you should be able to get CC with the cannon, and gets the first blood to boot.
Yeah, okay, that's going to be feeling really nice. He was getting bullied around in this top side, have to burn the flash defensively, but now he's going to be able to assert himself a little bit more up against Momo, who's opted to go for this Kindle Gem, so isn't really going to be getting much more laning power as of yet, as we see on the replay. This is just Momo doing what he wants. We saw this player absolutely dominate yesterday, and he's looking to do the same thing this time, but unfortunately he just oversteps. Really good flash away from you, survives on single digit HP, and now the Viego's in the area. He smells blood in the water. The Gnar doesn't quite push the lane in time. The TP comes back forward, but it's not ultimately even necessary, as he was tagging to grab the kill, but I think Viego could have grabbed that ball by himself. But ultimately, it's a very good play from Sengoku, punishing the over-aggression from the CGA top laner.
Yeah, I mean, it's all nice to get you that kill. He's been struggling a little bit in this matchup here, and oh lord. The party is top lane there, as Finua is kind of hiding, but they know that he's hiding there. They drew to the wall immediately, but Mega Gnar is available, but there's no level 6 on that one. Mega Gnar tries to run, but unfortunately, no escape from Sengoku, as the CGA top laner will fall for the 2nd time this game.
Yeah, man, Momo was feeling really good about himself about a minute ago, but 2 deaths in a minute is gonna feel rough. No TP now on the Gnar, so he's gonna have to walk back to collect this wave. And your fortunes have really changed in this top lane. You were 10 CS up earlier, now you are 10 CS down. You're behind in terms of experience as well, and it was the road up from IQ on this Ryze. We've seen Ryze utilized as a roaming pick very nicely in the LJL previously, and it all started from this ward being placed. Sengoku knew that the play was attempted to be made by CGA. Funawi only level 4 on this Lee Sin, so even if you do get the jump in this scenario, it's still probably not going to work out for you. But Sengoku, they had the vision, they read the play, they can just jump on top of CGA.
Yeah, no real escape there. CGA, once they realize the ambush only works when they don't know you're coming.
Yes.
And unfortunately, Sengoku, they did catch them on the ward there. as Momo goes in once again, but this time it's
Oh
been Red
no.
Sengoku have laid a trap, and Momo, despite having access to
Oh
Mega Gnar there, I'm just
no.
not sure the damage output is going to be
Oh.
enough for the Gnar there. Utina
Oh.
low, and actually gets one on the back of that one. It may have been an ambush set by Sengoku, but CGA's top laner grabs one before going down.
Yeah, that was a good death. We'll call that a good death. Momo is just, he's playing with aggression. It's the Bwipo style, what we love to see from that player and what we're seeing from Momo this game. You just play so aggressively that the enemy jungler is forced to come towards you, and that frees up the rest of the map for CGA. Getting a Cloud Drake right now, whilst it's not going to be giving you the best buffs in terms of stats, it means that you can start stacking up these Drakes early and get towards that as a potential win condition. CGA getting a little greedy here, trying to steal away the blue buff.
Oh, nice hook there. The blue buff getting involved there, as well as CGA's jungler runs with the Chico, tries to buy a bit of time. Kaito
Realm Warp
should be able to help out as well, but the Realm Warp comes through. Oh my lord, Kumi just dives head first into the CGA and says, you know what, one for me, and we'll give one to our Varus on the bot side as well. A beautiful move here for CGA, who have taken complete control. Sorry, people at Sengoku who have taken complete control of this game.
Yeah, and over-aggression just seems to be the name of the day for CGA. They keep going for plays that they really don't need to be doing. We saw it with Momo overextending in the top side, and then with Funawi trying to take away that blue buff, and is rightfully punished. Whilst they could get that dragon early on, Sengoku are going to trade it for this Herald, and whilst you're already snowballing, this is so advantageous as we pop into the replay, assuming that there aren't going to be any kills in that top lane. And it's just over-aggression. You're losing on the top half of the map, and you feel you need to get everything on the bot side. It's a nice lantern to follow over the wall. This Realm Warp is very aggressive, but it's low HP on the Lee Sin, so you're absolutely fine. Level 5 Senna isn't going to be doing too much there as Nina grabs his first kill of the game.
Yeah, and this is a great position for Sengoku to be in a team that has really been struggling so far in the academy scene, is now in a dominant position, courtesy of, I think it's fair to say, some over-aggression coming out from Crest Gaming Axe Academy roster, as well as some good punishes coming through as well. So, you know, a good start to the game, but in terms of gold, it's actually not as big as you'd like to think when there's a 4-kill difference between the two teams. Hell, it's barely 1,000 gold in the back pockets of Sengoku here. So, as good as this, you know, punishment style has been, I feel like they need to start getting a little bit more out of it to boot.
Yes and no. I feel Sengoku do still have good scaling with this rise. Sat 2, 0, and 1 should be getting to decent itemization at breakpoints very soon, as Primo is just toying with Sengoku's bot lane a little bit there. But you would like to get this snowballing a little bit more. I feel like it becomes harder for you to play fights as we get later into the game, because Akainu is going to have a lot of trouble actually accessing targets unless they can start getting flanks going on. Is going to be mitigated somewhat by the Realm Warp, but it's still not a great scenario. I think Sengoku overall, though, are fairly happy with where this game is at. CGA need to slow down a little bit. All of their deaths has been as a result of their over-aggression. You've got good composition here, and you might get a pick as well.
Yeah, a really good kick there, and there's no escape. Immediate deletion, and Sengoku might want to try to turn this one around here, but I'm not so sure this is the play that they want to go for, as it's already a man advantage in CGA's side. But CGA maybe learning from the fact that, hey, we don't need to be over-aggressive. Take the kill, back up.
Yeah, and that was just good, solid, consistent play. Knowing that there's no vision in that bush and that Ryze is going to be rotating over, going for the pick, this means that Kaito gets their first kill of the game, is able to get that mid lane tower plate as well. So they're feeling a lot happier than they were a few seconds ago. 20 CS lead as well. Whilst Aikanu has been doing very good stuff on the rise, Zoe will be a threat as we crest towards the mid game.
Yeah. And we both know, we've both as hell seen Kaito on the likes of the rise. Now, he did struggle in his match, but then again, he was, you know, playing in a very different kind of pond here. So far on the Zoe, has done much, I don't know if it's fair to say better than when we did see him face off against Megamin, because Megamin's just a different caliber of player than his current opponent. So, but it's been playing well on the Zoe there, obviously, as we're seeing Sengoku just visiting the top lane once again. Momo I don't know what he's done to piss off the Sengoku top half of the map, but he's done something, because this feels personal at this point.
Well, I think it was constantly throwing himself at you. Will be a couple of tower plates going over to Sengoku, but because Momo is about to pop into that Mega Gnar, any question of a dive is answered emphatically with no. Now, the real question is, what can CJ get on the other side of the map? A little bit of shallow vision into the enemy bottom side jungle, as well as this Scuttle Crab. Not a massive W for you, but ends up being a 150 gold trade in favor of Sengoku, as that's a lot of damage being dealt by Kato in this mid lane. Starting to see why he's so good on the Zoe and why he likes this pick.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the mechanics down on this champion there. Even being able to use the Prowler's Claw that you pick up from the little Zoe bubbles, which is, of all things to drop, I don't know why that's the thing that drops, considering, like, at no point do you ever want to be that damn close to
I see it. I swear, I always see Prowler's Claw on Zoe.
It's always Prowler's Claw.
It's always Prowler's Claw. They used to have, like, Redemption be the one that was, like, always there. But after Riot realized how absolutely busted and OP that was, I think they like tuned the numbers down on that one a little bit. CGA have been able to secure vision control in the river. You see these 3 control wards, and this one from Sengoku that are now clearing out is a Mountain Drake, so that means we're going to get an Infernal or Ocean Soul, as Momo is just trying to pressure up onto you, knows that the Kennen has the TP and wants to deny him the ability to get into this bot lane. So it's going to be the second Drake of the game going over to CGA, and they're putting themselves in a pretty good position to get that Soul Win condition.
Yeah, well, 2 already in their back pocket, man. It's going to be a nice and fast dragon, which I must say I am a huge fan of, especially in this meta. I feel like, you know, teams that are prioritizing the dragon and actually focusing it nice and early, it just gives you such an easy way to actually open up the game and actually just win. So 2 of them already taken by the 13-minute mark. Of course, that means the next dragon spawns at the 18-minute mark, give take, and that's putting Sengoku in a really annoying position where they're going to have to make the decision of, okay, when do we go for this fight? When do we go for the dragon skirmish? When do we feel comfortable with our, you know, power spikes on our champions? And for some players, that's an instinct that says, all right, we go. And you fully charge. Other players who maybe are a bit nervous because, ooh, it might be some of their first time playing on a stage, or, you know, day 2 on a stage, that instinct, that killer instinct that so many players have, it might be diffused a little bit here. We've seen many players over the time lose their ability to pretty much go because of all the risks. Oh, what if we go wrong? We lose a pro match. You never want to lose a pro match. It's so different to, you know, the killer instinct of solo queues. Seeing CGA potentially getting caught out there, but a nice disengage does get them out in one piece.
That's a big tool there used by Sengoku with the Chains of Corruption, as we're seeing the poke landing from Kaito, forces the cleanse away from Aikinu, and again, CJ just forcing Sengoku away from this river, away from the objectives. Both teams actually really intelligently swapping their bot lanes up to the top side of the map for this Herald. Both mid lane towers are still alive, and if you're able to take down Shelly, it gives you the opportunity to open up the map a lot more.
Yeah, and so far it does look like CGA are just in the better position right now. Sengoku, they can try poke in over the wall because you can clearly see, courtesy of the ward, they can't see it happening. It's been dragged out very well by CGA, and Sengoku, they're just going to have to give it up here. They're not in the position to do so. The best thing they can maybe do is set up another ambush for Momo, but there's a point where the ambushes against Momo have just got to start becoming super ineffective.
Oh, we might see an ambush in the mid lane. Primo clawing for it, but wasn't able to find anything. Momo nowhere near the rage bar yet. With CGA members being spotted in the mid lane, they could look to go for this.
Yeah, it's go time! Go time there. Momo is just going to get deleted, double jump over, but the flash doesn't get them out in time. But courtesy now, the mid lane, they
CGA could go forward.
One. Yeah, CGA have no real reason to give this one up. Maybe though, because look at the back line. There is the chance of Arise sneaking their way in, but that will still be a 3v4 at the best of times.
Yeah, it's going to be in the mid lane tower falling down. Kennen does still have the TP. That's a one-shot going on to 9. Okay, Kato.
I think this is what he was trying to do in the LJL playoffs. It's like, okay, yes. I wasn't really allowed to show off my Zoe one-shots then. How about I do it now? And damn, it looks good when you give him a champion that he's comfortable on.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting damage, and it's pretty good stuff from CJ. They're able to get themselves a couple of towers. We will be going back to this play in the top lane. Momo, he's building up that range, but he's nearly towards that mega point. The exhaust goes down onto him, which means he can't deal damage back. Bart was red, but he ended up being dead. And now we just see CJ pressuring through in the mid lane. They're able to get the second charge off with the Herald. And then it's just Kato playing around on this Zoe. We see that Paddle Star not quite connect, but he throws out the bubble, spots out where Nina was, and this is just disgusting amounts of damage.
Even burning the flash to get the spell thief extra proc damage, just to make sure that there was no escaping the damage output there. I mean, again, it's just good mastery of the champion. Right? Shows Kaito clearly knows what he's doing on this champion. Is very, very comfortable. And hell, going for a Horizon second item, I wouldn't call that exactly standard in the Zoe playbook. But if you're comfortable on the champion, I know a mate of mine who does just build that second item, and it works brilliantly. As yeah, that looks about right.
It's a lot of damage. Oh no.
Oh, no.
Sleepy Bubble Trouble lands. Forces the cleanse again from Nina. And that's the thing. Every time that bubble connects, Nina has to cleanse, which means that your other engage tools like this Lissandra become a lot more effective. CJ, they took those 2 towers in the mid lane earlier. They're looking to take this one in the bot lane, but Kaito could be caught here.
Yeah, immediate cleanse there, flashing out to
Oh,
safety
no.
there. You not able to get on top of them with a slicing maelstrom, and Kaito says, all right, try again. I dare you. As looking for the AD carry in response.
Yeah, but those are 2 massive engage tools from Sengoku that they don't have anymore. Well, 3, the flash on the cannon as well as the slicing maelstrom and the chains of corruption from Nina. They do have TP available for Momo CGA, and they're looking to pressure through in the river.
Yeah, but there's no Mega Gnar available. Momo is still building up that bar.
Primo?
Primo has been caught up, but that's Alessandra. She can buy so much time. Stopwatch has been burnt. The ultimate is still available. Remember, that's 5
TP's
seconds.
coming in.
And it's 5 seconds that they managed to buy there. CGA is piling in for the fight. That the loot you is taken down low. The rest of CGA have elected to retreat, but they'll lose their top laner. They're now going to try and get the Viego resets. Will they be able to get over the blow? Slams him into the wall, saying, good night, Sengoku. Fight like hell, maybe, but you're going to die like it as well. As CGA clean up. Only 1 member of Sengoku getting out alive.
And that was such a slow fight being played from CGA. Sengoku were able to get the pick onto Primo, but you called it out. The stopwatch into the Glacial Tomb. This Lissandra can just buy so much time for herself with the Aftershock as well. We're going to be seeing it here in a few minutes. The poke coming out from CJ, landing onto a couple members, but Sengoku realized, okay, the Lissandra is on her own. It's a very, very nice hook landing from Chillior, but there it is. Going into the stopwatch, pops the Glacial Tomb as well, can then start going forward, uses the Aftershock as well to buy time with the tankiness, and you've engaged onto Lissandra, but she's barely down to half HP. First skill goes over onto this cannon, and you're thinking maybe with the Viego can get the resets, but a huge Gnar coming out from Momo, and then the fight is all CGA. Momo was put down a little bit in the laning phase, but this is why this guy is so good. He's able to come up clutch in the team fights.
Yeah, and I must say, the fact that we did see, of all people, Primo on the flank was absolutely the right decision by CGA. Of all people to get attacked and ambushed, Lissandra's probably the best person on your team to do it.
Yeah.
Because 5 seconds of immunity is so invaluable. That's why you're seeing Primo rushing for that Zhonya's hourglass. Oh, hold up, we've got a gank in the bottom lane there, and all the CC in the world, there's no moving there.
Oh, it's like we've got a Swain in the game because, yeah, Aikadu was never moving. So much CC landed from CJ, and these aren't even 2 high damage characters. Obviously, Lee Sin and Lissandra can do stuff in their own right, but it's not like you're getting hit by a Zoe there. Ryze really isn't able to play the game against the CC that CGA have drafted. They're on track for this Infernal Soul in a couple of minutes. They've got pressure around the Baron Pit as well, going to be looking to clear out some wards. And it's so difficult for you to face check if you're Sengoku. You don't really have a true tank. Yeah, you've got this Viego that's going to be building towards the Styrax, but if you're face checking with the Viego, that's really going to be bad news for you. And there's so much CC on CGA that if you ever overstep, you get punished so hard.
And for the likes of Sengoku, a team that, well, I want to say they're an aggressive academy roster, right? And I
Yeah.
was specifically going to drive that out of their jungler here because we have seen a lot of aggressive plays coming through. Some of them have worked, like a lot of the top lane,
Yeah.
and some of them haven't worked out too well. And if you're going to play aggressive, which is, I think, fine, like that's how you should be playing a game, especially when you're down 3,000 gold. You need to play aggressive. You need to be able to contest objectives. You need to keep that killer instinct.
Oh, that's a TP.
Hold up a second.
That's
there.
a realm
double
warp.
flank in there. CGA needs to run for the hill there, but will they get out in one piece? The CC is not down. Slicing Maelstrom finally coming through. Chico getting out. Kaito getting out. CGA through everything forward. And now it's their turn for revenge as Sengoku will lose their top laner. Hell, they'll probably lose a couple of them more. Their jungler will be forced to flee for it there, and the rest of the members forced to run like hell. But Momo on a flank with a mega no. Can he slam him into the wall? Doesn't catch all of them. It catches two.
Where's the follow-up?
The team. There's no follow-up. No one's there. He's like, guys, where the hell's my backup? Finally, they will dive in on top of them. But that was such a desynced fight. CGA said, we'll help you. Just give us like 5 minutes to get to the fight.
Yeah, but you're still feeling good, though, because ultimately you're running out of that play with 2 kills and no one falling. We'll be able to start making their way over to this Baron as well, dropping that down low, and there is no contest from Sengoku. You've got to be feeling so bad because this is such a nice coordinated play. You've got the TP coming in the top side. You got the Realm Warp in as well. You're onto a couple of the squishier members, but look, Chico gets out on a slither of HP. Kaito's able to go into the stopwatch, so they're not dying, and then it's the re-engage. Primo going forward, props that aftershock so you can't kill him, then goes into the Glacial Tomb so you can't kill him, and then it's Sengoku on the run. We see Momo deep inside the enemy jungle, building up that rage on the goes in, could have had 4 here, only ends up being 2 because of a beautiful flash from Chili Oil. Does get hooked up, but there's not enough damage for Sengoku, and though the rest of CGA were a little bit late to the party, they still turned up. But now Sengoku are looking to get something done in the river. It's 45 seconds towards the Infernal Drake, and Sengoku need to get this one.
They don't really have much of a choice in the matter. If they don't contest this, it's Infernal Soul you're giving over. And Middlecourt, we saw the last match. If you let a poke comp get Infernal Dragon, it's what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, it's a wrap. As, oh no, getting another caught out here. A kick to the face there, but getting out in one piece. And Momo actually has crossed over, but never mind, committing into the backline. I'm not sure that's the plan. As we get Nara into the wall there, the rest of the team following up through as well. This is looking good here for the likes of CGA as they're diving on top of the Sengoku backline. They are running for the hills.
There you go.
And Sengoku will be forced to run, but unfortunately there is no mercy from the CGA members.
Yeah, and it's just about buying time yet again. We see Funawi going down early on in the fight, but the follow-up from Primo and Momo was excellent, and it meant that they could continue stalling out this fight for Kaito and Chico to get there and start dealing the damage. We see the rest of CGA pushing forward to grab this inhibitor. Momo will not be dying to this Drake, will be able to pick up the Infernal Soul for their team. And CGA, after a really rough first 10 minutes, have just turned it on in the mid game.
Yeah, and now they're in an arguably indomitable position right now. Nearly a 10,000 gold lead coming through here. An Infernal Dragon as well. Infernal Soul, I should say, actually. So it starts off just a good catch, and then it sort of escalates with Sengoku. I feel like they don't want to fight, but they don't know what to do if they don't.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. Funawi going over with that blast cone, but it's a very good response from Momo and Primo, like we talked about. And honestly, you just don't have the damage on Sengoku at this point. So much of it is front-loaded from the Varus, from the Rise in their initial spell rotations, that once that invulnerability comes out, you really can't do too much. And we see there Primo on this Lysandra. Well, apparently it's not a high damage carry, but that graph would beg to differ. 3.6 thousand more than anyone else in the game. Looking pretty disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, when you can drag the fights out for super long, it benefits Lysandra. Relatively low cooldowns, short range, and of course, the longer a fight goes on for, the happier a Lysandra is 9 times out of 10, because again, 2.5 seconds of immunity, twice. That's perfect for Lysandra there, as even with the healing cut to boot. CGA now. Oh my lord!
God.
Just able to kick it into the paddle star, but does have the follow-up. You forced to use the ult on one person. The reset may come through, but Sengoku have to be so careful because it's going to get run down in this situation. Diving forwards into the back line. Makaito doesn't go down courtesy of the stopwatch there. But Nani is relatively healthy on this large, but the Lysandra clones are everywhere. They're outnumbered. You only allow 5 people in the game, yet Primo summons a damn army to his side.
Yeah, just completely freezing Sengoku out of that one. Finawi went for the montage-worthy play on the Lee Sin and obviously ended up dying for it, but it didn't matter in the end. Primo kind of quietly been the MVP this game, sat 7-1-8 and looking to close it out for CGA.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to dive forwards here. Sengoku played very aggressively, and unfortunately CGA were ready for it. And well, what looked to be a good start for the likes of the Sengoku Academy roster, unfortunately not going to be the case, and bit unfortunate for Sengoku, but they're just going to have to take their 3rd loss here in the Academy series.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an L for Sengoku, but massive congratulations to CJ. One of the great things about watching Academy is that you get to see these new strategies coming through, a little bit of a curveball sometimes, especially with the Lysandra down in the bot lane. But Primo was honestly able to pop off to an absurd degree.
Yeah, it looked really good for them there on the Lysandra. And again, I feel kind of bad because what was the one thing I said coming into the game when I saw Lysandra flex at the bottom lane? I'm not a fan. And I'll be honest, that was my opinion coming into it. I thought to myself, Lysandra's just going to get bullied out by the Varus. She's not going to be able to do anything in the laning phase. And then Primo said to observe, you filthy casual. And you know what? Fair. I apologize.
Well, it's because of all the focus towards the top side from Sengoku. Yes, there was that one play into the bot lane where they got double sums away from Chico, but apart from that, they really didn't focus out the bot lane too much, which meant that they were able to scale on this center, on this Lysandra, get to the mid game, and just start taking over fights to a really absurd degree. We are going to be popping to a short break now. After that, we are going to be having an Academy rematch of the Juggernaut match as Rascal Jesters are taking on Detonation Focus Me Academy. Don't go anywhere.